Good afternoon and welcome to In Depth with the Bengals. I'm Jerry Miller, and our guest today comes from the Idaho State University men's basketball program, assistant coach Chris McMillian. Chris, it is so good to see you again.
Oh man, it's good to see you. It feels like it's been an eternity, man, since that last game in Boise beating Northern Arizona, and then obviously getting the news things are shut down. So it's hopefully we can get back to some normalcy here in the coming months.
Well, we're sure crossing our fingers and not holding our breath, but we know football has had the plug pulled on it until next spring, and depending on what happens with fall sports, we get into winter sports. Basketball may well be next.
It could be pretty terrifying. A lot of people like being at home. I like being in the office and being around the guys. I obviously love my family, but when you love going to work every single day and seeing the guys and the rest of the staff, and then not being able to, literally, you go through withdrawals, man. You're like, I just want to be around the boys, and so hopefully that doesn't happen. But we're also well aware of that. Student athlete and world safety is always going to come far before a game.
Well, Chris, let's talk about your family first. Tell us where you grew up.
Okay. I was actually born in Plainfield, New Jersey. And then my dad owned his own company. He manufactured fire extinguishers for airlines. So like Boeing, Korean Air. At the time, it was McDonnell Douglas, I believe Boeing, and those two merged. So when I was 7, he moved us to Southern California because that's where Boeing's hub was. And so now I consider Southern California home. Was there from the time I was 7 to 18 before going away to college. And the rest, as they say, is history. My family's all now on the East Coast. My mom's in Florida. Still got some family in Jersey and Georgia kind of sprinkled around. My sister actually is in Northern California. So it makes it hard around holidays trying to catch up with everybody, but we do our best with Zoom calls and FaceTime calls.
You talked about those last days in Boise at the Big Sky basketball tournament.
Yeah.
You received tragic news while we were in Boise, did you not?
I did. It did. It was really weird, man. It was just a weird morning. I woke up and it was just a weird amount of energy I had at 4:00 in the morning. I really couldn't pinpoint it. It's like that feeling when you're tired, but you can't go to bed. And, I didn't think much of it. And so about 5:30 that morning, an hour and a half later or so, my phone goes off. I keep my phone on ringer just because you never know what the guys might need. And it was my cousin. And I didn't think anything of it. I just assumed that, her being on the East Coast, not really knowing what time it was for me where I was, I just assumed that, she was calling to check in and say hello. So I banged the call. I ignored the call because I wanted to try to rest. And then she called immediately right back. And so, anytime that happens, it's something bad. You just don't know what. And she told me my dad had passed away, in his sleep, suddenly. And just a weird deal, man, weird deal. And so, having to kind of get through that day, I let Coach Looney know I was in no shape. We had an early shoot around that day. And I was just in no shape mentally to even fake it at that point in time. But, you kind of get through the shock of it and you realize, you gotta do something to occupy your mind and your time. So I did just that, man, and able to get to the game. And it was by far one of the most emotional days with that game. I mean, we played so well, and then winning, and then the locker room. I was happy. I was sad. It was just a ton of stuff, a lot to kind of shoulder on that day. But, Pauline was great. You were great. The team was great. Ryan was great. Coach White. Everybody was just so loving, and the hugs. Like, it means a lot when you have support when you get tragic news like that. I don't know how I would have did that by myself, quite frankly.
Well, you're a father now as well. Tell us about your immediate family.
Yep, for sure. So my wife and I, we just had our second daughter. Um, Another roller coaster, man. It's been wild. It's so crazy. And anybody that hears the story is just kind of blown away. My dad passed away the 11th. When I was burying my father, we had found out when I was in North Carolina that my now daughter had tested positive for the T21 chromosome, which is known as Down syndrome. So, I mean, between the pandemic, my dad, and then that one thing in itself was enough to drive somebody absolutely crazy. I was getting hit with all three from all different angles. So I tell people all the time that the Down syndrome doesn't really bother us. We just wanted her to be healthy. Very common for Down syndrome babies to have to be in the NICU, need open heart surgery, and so on and so forth. And so she was born a couple weeks early, spent 8 days in the NICU when they were thinking it was going to be 3 to 6 months. They sent her home on oxygen. They were expecting that to be 3 to 6 months. She got off that in 10 days. She's crushing it, man. And I'm lucky. My wife is unbelievable. She's a stay-at-home mom. So, when we're at the hospital, the doctors, they give you a sheet, and they essentially tell you what a Down syndrome baby should do milestone-wise and what a quote-unquote normal baby should do milestone-wise. And so the doctor gave me the sheet, and I'm like, we don't need it. We're going to raise her with the same exact expectations as we do with our first daughter, and we'll just kind of see what happens. But I didn't want myself or Megan or my daughter to have limited expectations put on them at such an early age. Like, we're gonna roll the dice, and we'll just see what you can handle. And so far, outside of a few things, she's tracking like a normal baby, quote unquote normal. So yeah, no, I mean, between Cameron, my oldest daughter Zoe, my wife Megan, no sleep right now, mega dosing on caffeine. We're blessed and fortunate, man, to be able to kind of get through this thing. But we're trucking away, man, and slowly chipping away at the storm we were in, and looking toward the light.
One thing I do know, your daughters have great parents, and they are fortunate to be raised in the home that they're in. And I just want to confirm that for anybody that doesn't know you. I feel like I have kind of a special relationship with you, and
For sure.
it's meant a lot to me. You were an assistant basketball coach on a staff that's relatively new,
Yeah.
working together. Last year was a very unique situation. But before we talk about the state of the program right now, how did you get into basketball?
Well, it was a natural progression for me. When my dad moved us to California, you got to keep a 7-year-old kid busy, and like, I had a ton of energy, and they need to find ways to get me tired. So growing up, I played baseball, football, basketball. I rode BMX. I raced go-karts, soccer a little bit. So I literally did it all. And, as I got to junior high school, and started playing with the AAU teams and things like that, I realized, even though I was actually a better baseball player than I was anything, basketball is what I wanted to do. And so I got good at it really fast, man. I got blessed. I got on the AAU circuit in California when I was really young, and had some really good coaches in my corner, and sky was the limit. When I would have been in the 6th grade, so I'm 11 or 12. The local team I was playing on wound up playing a team from Compton, from the LA Watts area. And, here in Orange County, I grew up in a predominantly white town, and we played their team. And so I played well that game. 2 days later, we're walking by that same coach, older gentleman, guy named George Hunter. He's passed away now. And he just looked my dad in the face and he was like, you know, your son's going to go to basketball, go to school on a Division I scholarship. You tell any parent that and they get excited, right? So at 11 years old, you know, here I have this opportunity to play with this travel club team, and it literally changed the trajectory of my life. So that's how I got in. You know, I just the goal wasn't the NBA. It was, if you can make a living doing it. The goal was going to college for free, and that's what I got to do. When I graduated college, I was burnt out. I was ready to be done. And so I moved to Arizona, where I got in the health industry. I was running health clubs, and about 6 years after doing that, I started missing the game again, man. And I was lucky enough to be able to reach out to some friends that were still in the business. I got my first job at 29, paying me $400 a month. People thought I was crazy for doing that, but at that time, from 22 to 29, even though, you know, $5,000 was the least I made in my entire life to that point, I had the most fun. So took that leap, and I'm starting year 12 now with Idaho State. Crazy.
Is it still fun?
It's the best. I love it. You know, people, they can't figure out like the hours and this and that. And I'm just like, man, when you're in love with what you do, it doesn't feel like work. You know, I wear shorts and T-shirts to work in the summertime. I put on pants when it's cold outside. I've seen most of North America for free. I've seen China for free. I've seen some of Europe for free. I've lived in Hawaii, Chicago. I've lived all over, all because of a round ball. And so when you think about it from that standpoint, and gotten 2 degrees for free. So, yeah, I love it, man. I'm a huge advocate of sports for children. I think it teaches you so much. And you know this, you've been around teams enough. There's no bond, brotherhood, sisterhood like you get with the locker room. You're going to talk to those guys for the rest of your lives, especially if you were really good. So, yeah, no, I still love it and will do it for the rest of my life.
For those of viewing that don't know, you attended college not far from here.
I did. I went to the University of Wyoming, 98 to 03. I was a 3 year, I call it 3.5 year starter. It's still kind of a hard story to talk about, but started for 3 years. My junior year, we won the Mountain West Conference Championship. The summer going into my senior year, I broke my leg playing softball. And so had to redshirt that year and just kind of came back for year 5, and things just didn't really go how I'd planned them to. That being said, got a chance to be a part of a second Mountain West Conference Championship. Was a part of a team that played in the NCAA tournament, beat Gonzaga back when they had Dan Dickow, and Richie Fromm, I think, was one of the other players on that team. So know what it looks like, man. I know what it looks like to be a part of winning programs, and I've seen it built from ground up, and I think it's the same thing that we're doing here at Idaho State.
As I mentioned earlier, last year for the Bengals was a rather unique situation when you have 5 or 6 players recruited in out of necessity from one program. And many of those players have moved on already to other colleges. So many new faces again on the roster. How are things coming together from your point of view?
They're coming together great. You know, Coach Looney has been successful because he sticks to his system, right? And we have built a roster with recruiting, and Braden obviously sat out, and Daxton is sat out. We have a roster built for the system. We've got back to the basket bigs that can jump hook it with either hand, and then we've got a bunch of guys that can make threes. It's the same exact recipe he's used at his last 3 stops. Same recipe he used when he took Point Loma to a D2 national title game. Now, am I saying Idaho State's going to go to the Final Four? Maybe, but I'm not going to put that amount of pressure on Ryan or our program or ourselves. But I do know this. The Idaho State men's basketball team is trajecting in the right direction. And it's going to be really, really exciting to see Reed Jim pack once we get this thing rolling.
So you're telling me I better stock up on my heart medicine because we're going to be playing some great hoops.
I mean, it's going to be fun and exciting, you know. Here's the thing, you know, when I talk to recruits, it's easy to look at the win-loss record and be like, they weren't very good, right? People don't know that before season started, we lost Braden. Daxton didn't get a waiver, and Ballant Moshan, who just turned pro, decided not to play, or I shouldn't say that, had shoulder surgery, and then decided that he was going to try to come back for his fifth-year senior year. So you lose, respectfully, what could have been 3 starters, before season even started. So that being said, we still win 8 games. We lose 9 games by 6 points or less. And you win a conference tournament game for the first time in 10 or 11 years. I'd say the system works, and we didn't even have the personnel to run it. Bless Chidi's heart. Anytime we start a 6'6" 5-man who's 190, it's like a F-150 going up against a Honda Civic. Over the course of 40 minutes, the F-150 is going to win more times than not. So Coach Looney did a great job with his system, keeping us in games and keeping us competitive. And, I tell recruits and parents, you can look at the win-loss record if you want to, but understand what comes along with it. This program is trajecting to go in the right direction, and we're going to get it done.
What is it like recruiting online?
We have a lot of videos, with the student athlete life, the weight room. Coach Dan did a weight room video. It's unique, right? And I think why we've been able to do it successfully too is like a lot of the players that we recruit, they don't have 6 and 7 and 8, 9 offers, right? So like you're talking about guys that have 1, 2, maybe 3 offers. At that point in time, it's the relationship. And I think, we do just as good a job as any with the relationships, making sure we're recruiting not only the kid, but anybody else helping the kid make that decision. Because at the end of the day, yes, they're coming to Idaho State, but trust me when I tell you, kids are choosing coaching staffs to play for. Moms and dads and coaches are picking the staff that made them feel, I use the terminology, warm and fuzzy. Yes, Pocatello is a great place. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of these young men are making decisions based on the people that are recruiting them and making them feel at home. Because at the end of the day, parents have to trust what men that they're going to be sending off their 18-year-old son off to for the next 4 years. So it's been good. We've missed on some kids, but for the most part, we've gotten everybody that we've gone after, despite even the pandemic. So we're excited.
Well, from 1 year's experience, I can tell you that I am excited about the staff that you were a part of and what's to come in the future. As we wrap this up, talk about some of the goals that you guys have as a staff for the team you're going to put on the court this winter.
You know what? The goal's very simple. Win 1 game at a time, 1 half at a time, 1 minute at a time. That's it. And for us to put, win 20 games, win the Big Sky. Those are all great goals. Like, you want to have those things, but I use this analogy, like, how do you eat an elephant? 1 piece at a time. And so for us, I think it can become easy to forecast out, win the Big Sky, win the conference tournament. Let's just win the next 20 minutes, then that next 20 minutes. And then before you know it, you're putting consecutive minutes and games together, and you look up and you've had a historical year at a school that, for the most part has lied in the bottom half of the Big Sky. So the expectations, work hard every single day, have great energy and great effort, and win each game half by half. And at the end of it, as long as you're up by 1 point, that's all that matters.
Chris McMillian, assistant men's basketball coach at Idaho State University. What a treat it is to see you again and have a conversation with you. And just want to let you know that we're very grateful that you took the time to talk to us today. And we look forward to what you and Ryan and the guys are going to put on the court this year representing Idaho State University.
For sure. Thanks so much for your time. And, to the fans, we need your support. Reed is the right size gym to pack. You know, you get 2,000 fans in there and you're rocking and rolling. You know, the environment in there can be electric, and that's what we're going to need. So I think I speak for all of us when we say we ask for your unwavering support. Win 10 in a row, come out. We lose 5 in a row, still come out. We're going to put a product on the floor that the state, not just the city, that the state can be proud of. So I appreciate you taking the time, Jerry, and definitely looking forward to many more conversations on the road.
All right, Chris, thanks for your time and good luck with the Bengals this year.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.